and happened to go to a few Georgia games back when Herschel Walker played there. And guess what? He, to most of those people, when he was Monday through Friday, he was an N-word. And on Saturday, he was Herschel. He was their guy. And that was how it is. And it's sad, Paul. I mean, it's horrific what we have seen in this country, and it's gone on for 100 years, and so it breaks my heart.
And you know something, buddy? It's still going on as of the last caller.
Paul, it's horrific. It's horrific. Exactly. You just heard it from Daryl. But the thing that I wanted to call about was the Drew Brees thing, and I want to implore you as a guy who you have a voice. You, first off, if I were you, I would distance myself from ESPN and go back to being independent, because you are a badass and can roll on your own. You do not need ESPN. And they are about to go down in a blaze of fire with how they're acting right now, because there's no reason to throw Drew Brees under a bus. That man has done more, besides maybe Danny Werfel, who's done a crap, excuse my friend, he's done a ton.
Yeah, he really has.
In the city of New Orleans. Danny Werfel has done a ton in that city. Drew Brees has done a ton in that city. For people to just rage on him, for me this morning, Paul, and I'll say this and leave it at this, which is I woke up this morning with Greeny with his usual good morning. And he goes with good morning, and then he starts off with, we've got a ton of sports to talk about. No, we don't. There is no sports. There's Korean baseball.
No, I'm on the show every day. I'm well aware of what their topics are.
I know you're aware. But here's the thing. He starts off, we have plenty of sports to talk about. And they lead with Drew Brees made a comment. And guess what? Drew Brees said what's on a lot of people's hearts. Paul, why is Drew wrong for saying he loves?
Well, no, buddy, I understand the issue, because I have. I was there 4 years ago. I tried to articulate some thoughts on that and ended up in a similar position, although I'm far less known than Drew Brees. And it's a tough situation. My only fault with Drew Brees, and everything I know about him is great, and I know he was asked a question, but sometimes you just have to know when not to articulate. And
we're tone deaf, right? White people are tone deaf. That's what we get told. Okay, so we're tone deaf. But Paul, here's the thing, buddy. Laura Rutledge, you and Laura and all of you guys are now on Get Up. Jalen, all of you guys, y'all have the biggest platform every morning, Paul. You guys have got the biggest platform in America right now, not for sports, because there is no sport.
No.
We are turning off Fox News. We're watching you for our news in the morning, for everything. And we need people to say it's okay for Drew Brees to have an opinion as
well. Buddy, the other morning,
it's okay to have an opinion.
Yeah, no.
Why can't he have an opinion?
Well,
why can he not have an opinion? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there are a lot of things you've said here that I'm sitting here in a rather peculiar position, but I hear you. You're not alone. And I will say this about Mike Greenberg. I think he'd rather be talking about sports too.
Well, I'm sure he would. But here's the thing. Hey, guess what? And Mike has been through crap because he's Jewish. I would love to hear his thoughts on this stuff because, by the way, first off, my above overarching comment is this. It's horrific what we are seeing in America in 2020. This cannot keep continuing to go on. It's terrible. And I love people. I played basketball growing up in Columbus, Georgia. I am a guy who most of my friends were black. I had all black friends. They protected me. They fought for me. I literally, that's how I grew up, Paul. And so I love them. But my whole point is, why can a white guy who has done so much for a community not just have one opinion without good morning, get up with Drew Brees? Like, why has that got to be the thing? Like, Greenberg, get off your freaking high horse, dude. Between he and Stephen A., man, I'm done with it. I wish you would distance yourself from that because you're better than that.
Buddy, thank you. Appreciate it. Great to have you on.
Love you, Paul.
You got it.
You're the man.
We're back. Now I'm sounding like Greeny after this.
Here at AutoZone, we're all about helping you get what you need to keep life moving. Like for that next oil change. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oil, an STP Extended Life Oil Filter, and a Monster Energy Drink, all for just $33.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast your way. Whether it's next day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside, the choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Here at ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP. College baseball is making a highly anticipated return to television today with the Collegiate Summer Baseball Invitational. The doubleheader will be aired on ESPN2 and will start at 6 p.m. The CSBI serves as the last chance for elite players to impress scouts prior to the upcoming MLB draft. ESPN baseball analyst Kyle Peterson and play-by-play announcer Jason Benetti will have the call today for the matchup featuring the CSBI Unity team coached by LaTroy Hawkins versus the CSBI Liberty led by Steve Heck to start the night. Game 2 will showcase the CSBI Freedom team coached by Drew Sutton taking on the Independence team led by Jorge Hernandez. The NBA's Board of Governors has voted to approve the league's 22-team format to restart the 2019-2020 season in Orlando, sources tell ESPN. Commissioner Adam Silver and the league's Advisory Finance Committee have shared the broad details of a plan with teams to play at Walt Disney World Resort. The plan includes 13 Western Conference teams and 9 Eastern Conference teams, 8 regular season games, and a possible play-in tournament for the 8th seed and playoffs. The top 16 teams in the Eastern and Western Conferences will be joined by teams currently within 6 games of 8th place in the 2 conferences, which includes New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio, Sacramento, Phoenix, and Washington. Teams will begin training at team sites in July and advance to full training camps in Orlando later that month. And in an unprecedented move, the NCAA has restored the eligibility of Arizona State punter Michael Turk, who declared for the 2020 NFL Draft, hired an agent, and participated at the NFL Combine before going undrafted and unsigned in free agency. I left college early to pursue a professional career and it didn't work out. However, Turk said in a video posted to Twitter, I've been working hard and praying about it, and now due to COVID-19 and extenuating circumstances, I've actually been granted my 2 years of eligibility back to play college football and will be going back to Arizona State University. And for your ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP. Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team we will get through these difficult times. And together we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Blue subscription now streaming.
Thursday. Let's continue with more phone calls. A couple more guests to go. We've already had a good one with Dr. Sag, Michael Sag, the infectious disease specialist, and Conzo Martin. Let's check in with George next in Florida. Hello, George.
Hi there, Paul. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Listen, I got a complaint. I mean, we got what they call a Treasury Department in the United States government. They're collecting taxes constantly from people that are working. And these taxes are collected and supposed to go out when there's emergencies. Now, so far, we've got a lot of people that aren't working, that don't have health insurance, that doesn't have a place to stay. And mainly the people that are dying, most of them are the black ones. Now, I feel it's time that between this guy, Mitch McConnell, and Trump, I think they should get together and get their platform off the desk and make sure that these people are taken care of, because it's not right to have people go out and have to steal in order to eat or steal in order to have some kind of medicine. I mean, what else can I say?
I appreciate you sharing that, George. Thank you. I'm a talk show host. Tim is up next in Arkansas. Tim?
Hey, Paul. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
First-time caller here. Yeah, I listen to you every day. You know, I'm coming home from work and everything like that, and I do appreciate your show. And I feel like you're doing a great job. And I was supposed to say his last couple callers from Georgia, I have an issue with that. You know, I'm a veteran myself. You know, I was in the Air Force for some years in the early 90s. And I didn't have a problem with Colin Kaepernick kneeling, because I knew the difference. I knew he wasn't kneeling to disrespect veterans. He was kneeling because that was the platform that he had to use, you know, to get his point across, you know. And it was the message that he was sending got construed from our leadership, our lack of leadership, I should say, in this country right now. And they were saying that, you know, making it sound like he was against veterans. And I don't. That is not the case. I do not believe that at all.
I happen to agree with you on that, and I think it's intellectually lazy and dishonest to confuse the two. Maybe early on, but not now. And I think what you've said resonates because of your background. But that was my issue with what Drew Brees said the other day. The two do not compute. We're not talking about that anymore. We're talking, and I agree with you. Politicians have wrapped themselves around that in attacking Colin Kaepernick, which is fine. And I mean, they can do whatever they want at a political rally, but in reality, that's not what the issue involves. And I think that's what his teammates and other NFL players and LeBron James and everyone else, I think that's what they were reacting to yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Well, that's all I had to say, Paul. I just got fired up from a few callers, and
I'm glad
I enjoy your show, and I'll continue to listen.
Tim, thanks. Nice of you to call. Really great call. Fantastic. Justin is up next. Justin, you're on the air.
Hey, Paul. I want to echo the previous caller, Tim. I was saying I was driving in my car and listening to these guys from Georgia talk about Kaepernick and how he was kneeling to somehow disrespect the flag, but the point is totally lost there. The point was to try to bring justice to the people that the police are taking advantage of. And that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to kind of give a voice to the people that didn't have a voice. And like I said, that just kind of burned me up listening to those people say that he was kneeling to disrespect the flag, and that's totally wrong. And on the Drew Brees situation, nobody's saying that Drew Brees is not a great guy. I mean, that's far from the fact. He's helped the city of New Orleans. What we're saying is it's just tone deaf to the situation, to what's going on in America right now. And that's all I got, Paul. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you very much. Trey is calling next. Trey, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, Mr. Feinbaum. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I know it's been tough. I have a couple questions for you. If you had 18 complaints about you at your office, would you still be there?
No, I would have been gone a long time ago.
Well, how come that police chief and that AD hadn't been fired? That guy should have been gone a long time ago.
That's going to, I mean, at some point you're right. Ultimately, the system was rotten, and I don't know how you, now in fairness, I'm not talking about I don't know all the specifics. Complaints are investigated, and I'm sure, I'm a big believer in due process, but it does seem like an inordinate amount of complaints.
My second thing is this, Paul, and I'm going to go against the other two guys that called about veterans because I'm a veteran. I don't think Colin meant to disrespect the flag. I understand the attention he's brought to. But to some of us, it feels like we are disrespected. And I don't understand how come we both can't voice that opinion. And it's like, why can't I be against police brutality, be against racism, and be against kneeling against the flag? Why do I have to be one or the other? That doesn't make me not knowledgeable enough to understand what's going on, but I do think I have a solution for it. Why don't every single one of these athletes that want to make a voice, why don't before the flag is risen or we sing the anthem, why don't everybody just kneel together, and then when the anthem's played, we stand together? Because we got to come up with a compromise, or we're going to go through this the rest of the year. And I am saddened to see it. Our adults and our athletes need to quit fighting and being ugly on Twitter and be more of leaders in this whole country. Because I think the problem could be easily solved if we did it my way. Thank you for allowing me to talk, Feinbaum. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, so many of these questions involve leadership, and that's really where this begins and ends. And we have a divided country. It's split right down the middle at the moment. And guess what? We got about 4 more months of this before we get to the election. Stick around. We have an hour to go. We will try to talk some college football in the next segment. More of your phone calls at 855-242-7285.
Call Feinbaum now, 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. This is the Paul Feinbaum Show.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best network, same as the big carriers, but you save up to 50%. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Ask Sherwin-Williams and get your color your way. We've made it easier than ever to try and buy color. Preview paint colors in your home with our Color Snap app. Then visit swcolorchips.com to have color chips delivered to your door for free. And when you're ready to paint, buy online or call your local Sherwin-Williams store for curbside pickup and get everything you need without leaving your car.
Sports.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. Pensacola Sports recently presented 36 awards and over $100,000 in scholarships at their annual Senior Scholar Athlete Banquet, which of course was held virtually this year. Kaylee Herring from Gulf Breeze and Nicholas Dimitrioff from Catholic High won the overall female and male scholarships respectively. For the UWF Argos men's basketball team, Coach Burkhammer is having a pretty good offseason. After recently attaining a couple of JUCO transfers, the squad assigned yet another transfer in Wendell Matthews. The 6'7" forward averaged over 16 points a game last year for North Iowa Area Community College. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Marquise Robinson for the Milton Panthers. At 6'3", 300 pounds, the big defensive lineman, they call him Big Baby, but make no mistake, there's nothing childish about his game. This young man is an absolute dominant force between the tackles. He possesses great size and rare quickness for the position. Robinson is a 4-star recruit and ranked as the number 18th defensive tackle in the nation by 247 Sports. His offers include Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Florida State. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team we will get through these difficult times. And together we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
This week in sports history, I'm JP. In 1935, Babe Ruth announced his retirement as a player. In 1942, Red Sox star Ted Williams enlisted as a U.S. Navy aviator. After he enlisted, he went to Pensacola for intermediate training where he set records in aerial gunnery. Williams received his wings and commission in the Marine Corps on May 2, 1944. In 1964, the San Francisco Giants beat the New York Mets 8-6 in 23 innings, which was the second game of a doubleheader, and lasted 7 hours and 32 minutes. In 1967, French Championships men's tennis, Roy Emerson beat fellow Australian Tony Roche for his 12th and final Grand Slam title. In 1972, French Open women's tennis, American icon Billie Jean King wins her only French singles title, beating Yvonne Goolagong of Australia. And in 1985, the New Orleans Saints were sold for just over $70 million. The Saints are now worth over $2.2 billion. That's this week in sports history. I'm JP.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh.
Well, I noticed dry brush where we wanted our bonfire and suggested we move it. Then Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. Just letting you know you did good.
Hey, guys, that was Smokey. You owe me 20.
Well, congratulations, and thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, well, we got college baseball. Actual live games here tonight. We'll get into more on what's going on right now around the world of college football, including Alabama. Well, might be set back a little bit from the test today.
Emmitt Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, and it's caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 9
is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brilliante on the other side of the glass. JP, and, well, stuff to talk about today. One thing I do have to say, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. My rants, anything's over. I actually posted a social media video for like 9 minutes. I never do that, but wanted to make it clear how I felt. Overall, though, listening to Paul Feinbaum without college football, when there's no, like, recruiting or stories, and he's on our network, I'm giving you a word of advice because it's always entertaining with callers from all over. But don't take all the callers and what they say as, like, a platform for anything at all, outside of, like, when Daryl wants to argue that Georgia's better than Alabama. Because I had about a 14-minute drive from my home, changing our cool. We got our Cal Poly outfits on today, you know. Glad that you wore it as well. Go Mustangs. Big day for us here. Big day. May or may not have a player representing college baseball. I'm just saying. May or may not. But, JP, one thing is I listened to 7 calls on the way in, and every one of them said, I understand why Colin Kaepernick did it, and he's not kneeling to hurt the flag. He's talking about this. And then you would have another person say the same thing, like it was a record continuing to go. And at this point, if you don't know the Kaepernick story, well, you sure as heck haven't been paying attention to sports. And secondly, we've already formed our opinion about 0.5 seconds into it. So just telling people the same thing over and over and over, whoop, gone. So we're moving on from that. And Tom Brady woke up this morning is still a Buccaneer, so I'm pretty ticked off. How's your day going?
Yeah, pretty good. No, I will say that because you know how I don't want to talk about this anymore anyway. No. Not because you know ignoring the issue, but solely because you're hearing it on every single station, no matter where you turn. You can't even go. Just get general sports news right now, and I understand what's going on. I'm not ignorant to that. But what I will say is I thought Stephen A. Smith had something good, which Stephen A's hit or miss sometimes, but Stephen A. made a good point today with the Drew Brees that people criticize him so fast, understanding the type of person that he was, and how, you know what, if Brees makes a comment, and listen, I think this goes for a lot of things, is what he was talking about, but if somebody has a disagreement, maybe it's somebody you work with, maybe it's a friend of yours, instead of jumping all over, maybe you need to check yourself, and maybe you haven't done your job to help them understand what's going on, maybe to help them understand what you go through if you're going through something. I think that's important that we, you know, what I talked about yesterday is trying to be the voice of reason for everybody in this. I don't know in a lot of ways what to do outside of continuing to live and be. Look, the way I was brought up was not racist by any means. I don't like racism. Have I seen it? Yes, I've seen it. Have I stopped it? Yes, from what I could stop, absolutely. Have I made it known to people that was going on? Yes. And I think that really is what you can do. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with this. And Stephen A. also made it clear too. Look, this may hinder a lot of people from like stepping out and saying something, just because you know, we're all entitled to our own opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent. It is your opinion. That's once again why I talk about we live in the greatest country in the entire world. If you don't believe me, then go look at these other places, and where sometimes we're mocked from these other countries, but at the same time, they're being tracked on everything they do. They can't go anywhere. They can't. They're told what they can and can't do at all times. Where we have the freedom to do this. So I just want to make it clear, being like I said, I'm not trying to understand. I'm not saying I understand what these people are going through. I don't.
And that's
but I think it's important
as well.
that everybody needs to look at it. If there's a person you disagree with, maybe reach out to them before you absolutely throw them to the wolves and try to find out why do you believe that, and then explain your side of the story. I think if you do that and the person still resents you, then there's nothing you can do at that point. But I think, once again, it's important that we all reach each other, because this, right now, it's a Black Lives Matter. That's the movement that's going on. The only way this will ever be solved is if we look at this as a complete human issue, not only just in our country, but in this world.
850-623-1330 is the number. And I guess on a lighter side, would anybody ever think that we would live in a world, though, within a matter of a year from some of the things that we saw in the news, where we would live in a news where people would be protesting for Jameis Winston to come in, for Drew Brees, for character issues? Think about that. I know if you just woke up, if you've been in a coma for a couple weeks and you just woke up.
Go back.
You go back. Well, yeah, exactly. All those space launches, I lived right next to NASA. My dad worked on the Cape Canaveral there, a Kennedy Space Center. That's why I always say our area code's 321, and everyone's like, what's that? I'm like, it's 321 blast off. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I think that's why they did it. But Cape Canaveral and the folks over there grew up right down the road. Not like right next to the fire, you would die, but right down the road. And I think they're launching all those space shuttles and all those, they're pretty much sending off all the rockets. Test people, some of these trillionaires maybe out there that want to get the heck out, like one of these movies. Like, we'll send you to space. You can just get up there. Virgin Airlines tried it. Like, get you out of here. Get out of here. But, it just, remember one thing I hope everybody understands. Actions, actions, actions. Not just a 2-second post on Twitter. Not just a getting in front of somebody and going ahead and taking a selfie and saying, I love everybody, and let's get those cops that got George Floyd, and then taking a photo and then being like, he's the man. That doesn't make you a great person. That shows that you were able to show the cause and support it. But the comments of Aaron Rodgers today are pretty much all over like he's a great human being and Drew Brees is not. And it really is a lot of the opposite. And I'm just saying, if you follow any of their career, you know that. Let's go to the phones, 850-623-1330. Caller, who's this?
Jake.
Hey, Jake, how's it going?
So, just to piggyback off what y'all said, about Drew Brees, the thing I don't understand about all this is 4 years ago, everyone agreed with Drew Brees. Ownership, management, all the above. And now everyone's flipped the script because that's the popular thing to do.
Jake,
or the right
that's
thing
not
to do
true,
in their
though.
eyes.
That's not true. Everybody hasn't flipped the script. Those people that were with Drew Brees are still, they just at this point, after what you've seen with Drew Brees, why would anybody that has a voice want to go down a path like that? Think about it.
I agree completely. If I was Drew Brees, I would have dodged. If I felt like that, I probably would have dodged a question.
He could have worded it differently. And I think that's what everybody's saying is if he would have just used the terminology like you have to read the Miranda rights before you arrest somebody, you could have the guy doing the exact same crime, some guy with a saber sword on the street. But if the cop doesn't read the Miranda rights, then the lawyer gets him off. That doesn't make that guy a good person because they let him back into public. Same thing with this is if Drew Brees would have said, I fully understand what's happening, but I still believe in this, then nobody would have said a word. But it was more of like, hey, we didn't really ask you, Drew, about this. This is going on, and that's why he got reprimanded. Right. But you had Jameis Winston call Drew Brees the GOAT on and off the field. This was his quote 4 weeks ago when he got there. Remembers getting his autograph from Drew Brees when he was drafted. Not a better leader in not just football, but in sports. This is his quote. This is after Drew had agreed at one point as well with the kneeling and the situation, or already said his stance on Kaepernick way back in the day, and this was his comment. So Jameis already knew the same exact version of Drew Brees, and he said, this is the best leader, and he is the GOAT on and off the field, and I am privileged. He has taken me under his wing even when I was a buck. He goes, this is the kind of stuff. Aaron Rodgers, who is getting praised today in the media, this is what Aaron Rodgers, same teammate Jermichael Finley, an African-American, said. He said, never once when I asked for his cell phone did he give it. In 6 years, he viewed himself as, this is about me. He held grudges, and he barely ever told the truth if it came to why is this guy not on the same page with me. It was always about him. I just flat out don't think this guy is a natural-born leader. He wasn't put on the earth to do that. That is from a black tight end that played for 5 years with Aaron Rodgers, and you have guys who were rivals, who have already had character issues with Jameis, who needed help, who needed somebody to get him out of the funk because the talent was there. Number 1 pick, and Jameis is saying he's the greatest human. You have teammates saying Aaron Rodgers has character issues. Drew Brees has done everything, the humanitarian of the year in 2011. And at the same time, we're making Aaron Rodgers into a hero today and Drew Brees not in the media.
I don't understand it either, and I completely agree with you there. And what you guys talked about earlier is, just kind of coming together rather indifferent. You can see the bigger cause and stuff, and I really like that message you guys put out. It made me think of myself. Me and who I would consider probably a best friend of mine don't agree on anything. I mean, politics, football, we don't agree on anything. And yet we can look past that towards each other and say we're still great human beings with each other. So I really hope that whatever the Saints do with this situation, that they can look at Drew Brees as a man and the man he is, and he's proven to be in the past, and get past it that way,
Well, hey, Jake, we appreciate the call. And no matter what, as good human beings wake up in the morning, we want to treat everybody the same. And sports unifies people from day one, whatever school you're at, public, private. You don't see color, because if you do, you're not going to get along, and quickly you're not going to be able to be a team player. So I think everybody understands that. We want sports back. We don't want to be talking about it. And I think with sports back, a lot of this stuff would be changing right now. I think a lot of people would be in stadiums and praising, or people in Minnesota would be cheering on Karl Anthony Towns and maybe the Bucs to make a run. So glad to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Appreciate the call, bud.
Thank you.
All right. 850-623-1330 is the number. Now that's how a call should be handled right there. I mean, great way to be able to interject his opinion, whether it was with us or against us, because everybody doesn't agree. But that's the point of the platform of having that. Respectfully talking. He decided to agree with us. That doesn't mean that that's why I'm saying this. And when I say these things, Drew Brees should have probably said something, hey, guys, I'm sorry how it was taken. Because obviously, no matter what you do, it hurt a lot of players and a lot of people around the country. The number one thing I took from it, it breaks my heart to know people I caused pain here today. And Drew Brees means that when he says that. I know for a fact he means that when he says it. And he says, forgive me, I apologize for that. And for that, I agree with that.
Again, this is exactly everything played out the way the media wanted it to play out, because it got clicks, it got people to react, and that's the one thing that we fall into the trap. We fall into the trap of getting so wound up in this, understanding, look, we know what goes on. I mean, everybody, if you've been to high school, whatever, the majority of the people are not. Racism is not an issue. Some places it's a big issue. It's not the same everywhere. Let's be honest with that. Once again, I say this, and it's one thing that I've done a lot more praying than I have been in a long time, which is sad because I should have been doing it a lot more anyway. But it's making me realize of something that, for everybody, how do you make a difference? It doesn't mean you got to go out, and for people that say you have to protest, I disagree. I think that you can do things within your workplace. You can do things within your home. If you have kids, make sure they understand this. Don't assume they understand this.
Raise
make
your
sure
families right.
You understand, and that make sure you educate yourself, and then you educate them. That's what was so important with me, with my parents. My parents educated me on everything, or the majority of things. There's things that they didn't know I was going to face that they never had to face, but this was brought up. And like I said, I went to a school where, it was probably 60 white, 40 black, and we loved each other. We grew up with each other. We all hung out with each other. So I didn't go through a lot of these things that people did. I'm not saying, for me, did I see it? Like I said, yes, I've seen it before. Have I tried to stop it? Yes. I've done everything that I can in my power to try to stop things. That doesn't mean I can stop it by myself.
And it won't happen
But once
overnight.
again, it's up to each and every person here. And for people to say, well, I'm not racist, and to stop at that point, no matter whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever, I think that's ignorant. Because at all times, it's very important that we evaluate ourselves each and every day. When things heat you up, when you see issues in the news with politics and everything, when it burns you so much that you can't think straight and you lose your cool, that's not how it's supposed to be. So check yourself and understanding that, look, like the media, like I said, we fell right into the media's hands with all this. And is it shameful the way that they automatically threw him under the bus? Yes, absolutely. And for Drew Brees, like you said, this hurts his heart. I know it does, because we've seen this is a man that has done so much for so many people, and that has given us
of the year,
but has done nothing. Have given us no reason to think otherwise. That doesn't mean, now I will say, that doesn't mean that people like that put on this facade that they're not like that, because there are some people that can trick you. There are plenty of swindlers in this world now, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to bring up religion as much as understanding the Antichrist and everything that goes upon that, and that person that these people love, they look upon, and that person is there to ultimately trick you and to keep you or put you down a path of wrong. But what I'm saying in all this is, for each and every person, the only way we can get through this, because again, we live in the greatest country in the entire world. Look, I didn't serve in the military. I had family that served in the military. I know what it means to them, and I've seen both sides of the story. I understand this. I understand where people. That's where I've always tried to look at both sides, even if I disagree with one. It's important. Like our caller just said there, he's got a best friend of his. They can't agree on anything, but they look past that. That's what we have to do in all this, and understanding that if you see where change needs to be made, then go make it. But understand, we all need to self-evaluate first before we go casting judgment or trying to change other things. Because when we go to try and change something else, if our heart is not pure, if we are not genuine in the feelings that we have, it will never, ever, ever change. And that's all. I just want to make that clear. I think your heart tells everything about you. You can put on anything you want in front of people and be a fake person in front of everybody. You can give all the money you want in the world and be fake in front of people.
Jerry Sandusky did it for 14 years.
And they believe of what you are, but behind the scenes, if you're not that same person, then you're a fraud.
Jerry Sandusky, for 14 years, got over $10 million donated to him. A guy that 52 children can't sleep at night the rest of their lives for abuse. Think about that. For 12 years, he had $10 million given to him. So what you're saying is exactly right on that case. But one thing I do want to add to him, what you said about saying I'm not racist kind of thing, when people are trying to convince themselves, I'll tell you this, because I know your heart. One of the reasons you're here as my co-host, and we've worked together for years together on many platforms with many networks, is, JP, you don't wake up in the morning and have to convince anybody or say the words to yourself, I'm not racist, because we never have thought that for a second in our bone in our body. And good people, if you see somebody on the street, we don't have to assume, should I help them out if they're black, if they're in a fight, or white? We help them because we're good people. The biggest thing, I thought Tom Herman said the best thing, and then we'll move on here. Alabama players, they have 5 cases right now of testing positive.
One more when you get done.
Okay, no problem. Absolutely. Not like the game. There is a Portuguese Liga game on. We do have a college baseball game at 6, but outside of that, and the NBA finally getting the proposal to put a new Mickey pretty much logo on there, that would be cool. They probably are. The one place we didn't feel bad about was Disney, and they're getting all the money now. It's going to be cool if you live there. I did. Home of the fake national title. But the thing we need to say about this is Tom Herman had it spot on, because actions always do speak louder than words, and that's something that I always try to quote. But we need to understand that when Tom Herman said, you can say all you want right now, but if you had a son or daughter, or you had a family member that you loved more than anything, or you were the CEO of the biggest company in the world, would you allow your daughter, if you've grown up in a certain neighborhood, would you allow them to marry somebody of a different color? Would you allow your son? With an open heart, not like they can do whatever the heck they want, but they're not getting my money for this. Not that, but with an open heart, loving and embracing them, inviting to them all the Thanksgivings, opening up your home to their family, even if they have a family of 14 brothers and sisters. Would you open your heart and not see anything different than if they came home and married the person of the same color? And if you can say yes to that today, then we're on the right track. If you still don't believe, like the NFL, there are still owners out there that don't. They had to implement a Rooney Rule. I mean, this stuff was going on before the protests. The Rooney Rule, to me, was the biggest load of crap, because you should put the best coach in the position to be hired. Female, male, black, white, Ron Rivera, it does not matter. But people it is still out there. And we live in the best country, but we need a ton of changes. And I think Tom Herman, spot on, when his football team has not been spot on late.
The last thing I'll say is
nice Cal Poly
understanding.
shirt, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. You too. Yeah. Is understanding what you were talking about, and not waking up and knowing, just knowing, like, listen, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff because you don't think about that kind of stuff because of the way that you live your life. I think it's important, and this is something that I was going through today, just looking at my Bible and things like that. And once again, I'm not here to be a Bible thumper and put it in front of your face, but what I will say is this is something that struck me. And so I have a mic here. I just want to say this for everybody. In Proverbs 132, it said, "For the waywardness of the inexperienced will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them." And I'm not going to speak because twisting the verses in the Bible is the worst thing you can do. But what I take from that personally is simply we have to look at ourselves. We have to. The complacency will kill us, will be our ultimate demise in this world, no matter how you want to look at it. And that's where, even if, like I said, you're that person that says, well, I'm not racist, so I don't have to worry about that, your self-evaluation, it starts with you. It's important that you look at yourself, because the way that we live our lives, everybody else is looking. People, if you're at the grocery store, it doesn't matter. People are watching you every single day of your life. There are people that look up to you, and you don't have to be some superstar athlete. There are people that look up to you that you don't even know about. I just think it's important. I just say that just because complacency, if you're complacent where you're at, and I'm like, well, that doesn't matter to me. It's not me. I'm not one of those people. You're one of the fools as well, because we all need to self-evaluate each and every day. It's something that I don't do. I've tried to do more. I think this has awakened a lot of different things, because it's awakened me as a person of maybe I am doing things I don't realize I'm doing without doing it, or in doing it. I just say this because I think it's important. Self-meditation is important. Taking a moment to separate yourself from the world around you, put your phone down, turn the TV off, just sit there in peace and quiet and relax. Take a few breaths. I think that's important, along with this. And I think it's just for us to move forward. This is, like I said, Black Lives Matter. I believe all lives matter. I think that the only way we will get through this as a country is to everybody look at each other and everybody love each other. I know it sounds cliche, but it's ultimately the truth.
And people will understand people's hearts. People will always understand people's hearts. Going out there for an hour with a sign to get on TV with the local news, a lot of people are not going to judge that and make a difference. It's been, 4 days now? I've talked to a number of people. Man, I drove by the graffiti bridge. There's 1,000 people out there last night. People are noticing. You've been out there 4 or 5 straight nights?
Yep.
Whether other people go home at night or not, people are noticing the peaceful protest. That's what doesn't happen overnight. Rosa Parks was arrested the first time that she didn't go to the back of the bus. Martin Luther King went to jail multiple times. It does not happen. Change doesn't happen overnight. And folks, we notice what you're doing in Pensacola, and it shows the peaceful protest, and we're proud of you. Not proud of Skip Bayless. He doesn't follow one person on Twitter, by the way. 3 million. That would be a Skip Bayless move, by the way. What's up with the look, too, with the chain? Sort of looks like the dusk till dawn, like that priest in the movie right there. Like
he's reaching that age.
He's getting that way. 6-year-old white guy from Vanderbilt. And he's out there with this, looking like he's going in a movie with Quentin Tarantino. This all happened when Tom Brady started talking about not being a Patriot. I also want to make that clear back in around January. All of this.
Oh, this happened with a gorilla.
Just when Tom Brady decided he was out at 20 years with the Patriots, all of this stuff has been happening.
Thought it was Harambe. That's what everybody says.
Is that Harambe?
Whenever Harambe was put down,
really,
things started going down.
I watched Rampage with The Rock, and that pretty cool. He talks to gorillas.
Rock's a good actor.
Tarzan's a good one too. We're coming back for more Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Hey, seafood lovers. Shannon's Seafood Kitchen is open with dining inside and outside, as well as touchless curbside pickup. The best catfish this side of the Mississippi, homemade gumbo, jumbo fried shrimp, hand-rolled Filipino-style lumpia, po' boys piled high with fresh seafood, coastal fried flounder, and fresh mullet every day. They continue to take precautions for your safety, whether you dine in or take out. Open Tuesday through Saturday at 11, 7000 Pine Forest Road, or call 941-1982. Shannon's Seafood Kitchen.
Hey guys, I know there's a lot going on right now in the world, and we're all shopping online. I just saw that AT&T started doing 2 really helpful things for those who want to buy a new phone or device online. They're offering fast, free, no-contact delivery and curbside pickup, so that online shopping is as simple and safe as possible. On top of that, they have a flexible return policy, so you can shop at ease. You can visit att.com to learn how to shop online from the safety of your home 24/7. Subject to change, restrictions apply.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Let's face it, in life, there is no free lunch. Are you prepared? Do you have a plan? Who can you trust?
You can trust the NFCC, the nation's largest nonprofit network of credit counseling and financial education organizations. Our certified professionals will help you learn basic financial skills and give you the tools to meet financial challenges with confidence. Come learn with us at nfcc.org.
It's your money. Get smart about it.
A public service from the NFCC.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Dance moves on TV, I just realized that. Sometimes when you're on a simulcast, the things we used to do, kick up our shoes like it was a fraternity party right there, eating some snacks and things, just dancing like somebody that you did not want to see. It was embarrassing. Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. 22 teams has been cleared by the NBA to play in Disney, making that magical trip over there. And, hey, look, Orlando just got a little more juicier when it comes to having a fun time with the family. If you're just a flat-out sports fan, you went from nothing to literally having 22 of the best teams and athletes getting to play right there in a place where you could go watch the game, go over spend some money at a Jungle Gyms, place like that, Rainforest Cafe, and then better bring your wallet. And then after that, head into the park. Go on Dumbo, Space Mountain. Have you been to Disney World? Asking somebody that sounds sort of almost disrespectful to say, like, have you been to Disney? Be like, how dare you? Who has not been to Disney? Is there somebody out there that's not been to Disney over the age of, like, 30? It's different today. Like, if you're 7 years old, your parents might not have a chance. Right now, currently, not too many people are just saying, like, honey, what vacation can we take right now?
Just throw away some money and go out there.
But most people you got a couple weeks, right, between 30? So 29-year-olds and above, right? 29 and above, is that where we're going here?
Yes.
Most people have been to Disney. Is there a ride? Were you too young? Not a Space Mountain guy?
I was I think 9 or 10 when I went.
Did you do Thunder?
Yes.
Okay, Thunder's awesome. It's pretty cool. As long as that guy doesn't throw up. Okay, let's take a look here at 22 games. At this point, the odds are in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks and LA Lakers to be in the NBA Finals. According to these funky Y2K computers we still have around, and they spit out an image at us. And based on all the stats, though, that's going to be the matchup. Right now, I think that if you had to say Milwaukee or the LA Lakers, who has a better chance to win their conference?
Milwaukee. I think the easier road, regardless.
I would agree with that.
I mean, but the thing with Milwaukee, you're talking about winning a championship, is we've seen this team be really good regular season, and then, well, they lay an egg when it comes playoff times. I don't know. I mean,
so the Buck stops there.
I want the Buck to not stop there and to take a championship. I would love to see that, just because of the Greek Freak. I would love to see him get his a little bit, because I think if he wins a championship, now the conversation changes a little bit about him, and he's not just looked upon as, yeah, he's a great player, cool. He's a guy that's got a ring. We all know once you get that ring, once you get that championship, you're looked upon differently. And I believe he deserves to be looked upon differently because of the dynamic style of player that he is. But at the same time, I'm not stupid to look at it and go, you know what? That's not going to happen unless he wins a ring.
Looking at the situation, we've got to report this. We're not going to get back into, like I said, the stance or any of this, but it seems like Mike Norvell and Florida State have stopped what could have been an even worse day. Woke up in the morning and, saw some of the Mike Norvell tweets, and just Jake Fromm's dealing with more hot water, and he probably will. I mean, even though he can come out and say that was a year ago and things like that, his is a little tougher right now to pretty much try to navigate the waters and convince people, basically saying that, like I said, was from a year ago, but said that elite white people should own guns. Like, pretty much that's what he said in a nutshell. And he said in a tweet to a girl, and then all of a sudden it blew up. But the situation with Mike Norvell, he was talking to somebody on air, and he said to them about, hey, I've been reaching out to my players, letting them know what's been going on. And he said it as a broad term. And that broad term can get you in a lot of trouble. Because, for instance, Drew Brees, by saying he believes taking a knee disrespected the flag, he never used color. If his wife and kids took a knee, he would say the same thing. But it's obviously the time we're in right now and the story, it's only going to be looked at one way. And we understand why. We're not stupid. But for a guy like Mike Norvell, he made that broad term. Like, yeah, I reached out to everybody. So Big Marv, his best player, was out there like, no, man, you didn't talk to me. And he was pretty upset. And pretty much at that point, it's like, I'm not going to do any team activity. Get back out there. A couple guys said that. Pretty much they didn't agree with what Mike Norvell had to say. And they said he never contacted us. He never talked to me man-to-man as the coach. And remember, these are still Willie Taggart's players. Even though Willie didn't get all the wins, most of the guys out there, every one of them except the incoming freshmen, are guys that were recruited by Willie's team, by the group of guys with Willie. So once they freed Willie, now Mike comes in, and that's a hard chemistry. Remember when Tom Herman? Seems like a pretty good guy after some of the things he said today. But Tom Herman came out and he's like, these are not, they lost a few games at Texas. He's like, these are not my players. These are not, and we're like, whoa, they are your players, but you didn't recruit them. It's a little different. That bond in college is huge, walking into that person's house. The difference, though, today, JP, is you look at Mike Norvell. He's made peace with his team. He talked to Marv and some of the guys. Not all peace. I'm sure there's still going to be some fires to put out. But what he meant was, I talked to everybody through a text by saying, yeah, I reached out to them. When the players were like, you haven't talked one-on-one with us right now. It was more misconstrued, but he still apologized and said, I could have done better, and I should have changed the way I went about that. Norvell took every step after it happened to put out some fires that I don't think are going to continue to burn. That's just my opinion on this.
Well, I think it was more of a misunderstanding on Norvell and what he was saying. Probably, yeah. I think, he made a mistake in saying it, and now is not the time to make mistakes. I think that goes without saying. You be careful of what you say. So for Norvell, though, I think, look, it's handled. I think that issue is done. Let's move forward. And the biggest thing, too, is to remember not to harp on these type of things like this. That is not going to solve the issue. If we're truly about solving the issue, then let's get back to solving the issue. This is Norvell. It's something minor on what he said. Talking, you know what? Okay, he met with the players. They got it figured out. Everything's all good. I think there's more respect for coach and for player on both sides now after that's done. Because we have to remember, Norvell was brought in 10 days before signing day. Did a great job. He's done a great job getting 3 more transfers. Of course, the cornerback sitting there from Florida Atlantic. I think he led the FBS last year, 9 interceptions. You've got 2 guys coming in from Mississippi State at a corner and a defensive tackle. He's done a fantastic job getting some belief. And it's a team that is very undisciplined, to say the least. That he's got his work cut out for him. And I think it's important. You know what? I think this was a big moment today. I will look in, because I try to be as positive as I can on everything going on, because it doesn't cost you anything. But I think this is a good moment. This is something that, you know what? It's looked upon because the media will make it look ugly. I don't think it's ugly at all. I think because of the way it was handled, Marv Wilson came out. He made it clear it didn't happen. Okay. And then Norvell owned up to it. Now we've made our amends here. Let's move forward. And I think it's a great sign, too, just for other people to look at. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes people need to, let's figure it out. I just think I think
let's start using our brains. I'm so tired of people not wanting to think at all for themselves. This is completely legit. There's, like we said, with Jake Fromm, whether he tweeted or not, we've all tweeted things.
He's got a
different story to explain why you would ever write the words on there. I think all white elite people should own guns pretty much at that point and take them away from others. Like, you, even though you might be ha 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 LOL, you still got something to explain there. With Josh Allen, what he went through, he was rapping lyrics as like a 16-year-old kid. We used to sing DMX in the car, Rough Riders, things like that. Come on now, people. You got to understand where it's coming from. The context with this, Norvell said, yeah, I reached out to my players. It was like a mass tweet to the whole team. He's got 100 people he's got to see. He didn't individually go like a shrink and sit in front of him with a pen and said, let me share your thoughts. What do you think? How badly is this hurting your feelings? But guess what? Right after he called, he immediately called Big Marv. And Norvell said immediately after this, particularly at this time, words are very important, and I am sorry. And the team took the stand, and here's the good stuff out of this. Wilson said that after they talked, we took a stand, we got what we wanted, we're moving forward. He also posted a 4-minute video detailing the plans for the team to register to vote, raise funds for everybody around the Tallahassee area and the organization itself, and help send young black people to college and aid poor children in the Tallahassee and Florida area.
He also thanked Norvell for giving them the platform, too.
Yes.
I think that's where I go. This is and something that on all sides of this has been amended, and I think they are stronger because of this.
They will be stronger. And Mike, and you don't coach in Memphis, too?
Not against Clemson, though. They won't.
No, not at all. It's going to take a while for them to get stronger overall. But you don't coach in Memphis, too, if you have a racist bone in your body. You're not going to last long in Memphis. I've broadcast in Memphis. That's not going to work. So, Norvell, I wish you weren't so tough when you used to play UCF, but outside of that, wish you the best. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast on Blab TV.
For 30 years, Thomas Home Corporation has proudly helped families build their ultimate dream home. If you're looking to customize your home, we are currently building throughout Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and we can either build your home in one of our subdivisions or even on your own lot. Our team works with you to guide you through each step and decision in the process. Builder of the 2019 American Dream Home and Builder of the Year, Thomas Homes Corporation has built quality homes at an affordable price since 1990. Begin the process today and become one of our proud homeowners at thomashomescorp.com.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
The year was 1919. Barbasol shaving cream was invented by a dreamer named Frank Shields. The world's first modern shave cream, Barbasol changed the face of shaving forever. A few billion shaves later, Frank's dream lives on. Behind every face is a dream. Barbasol proudly salutes every fearless, self-assured, wide-eyed dreamer all across America. Celebrating 100 years. Barbasol.
Introducing a new podcast, ESPN Daily.
hosted by me, Mina Kimes. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you.
The best sports story all day, 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
ESPN Daily. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this. And as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Slowly but surely, we are returning to restaurants, beaches, our places of worship, returning to business. As your business opens the doors and adjusts to new ways, recruiting may be a need for you. Do you have a business that needs to hire? Let News Radio 92.3 AM 1620, Cat Country 98.7, ESPN Pensacola, and Playlist 94.5 help spread the word. You'll reach thousands of potential customers and possible employees every hour of every day, so let us tell your story and help you get back to business. Email Jeff at catcountry987.com, and to all local businesses, welcome back.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And do the Harlem Shake.
Welcome back. Cal Poly Mustangs, baby. Big day for us here. Excited? You're not pumped for that? Come on.
I remember when Oregon blew them out in every sport.
I would hope.
They have a good baseball team.
They actually do have a good
Baseball is the equalizer to a lot of these teams. You can go play anybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any day.
There's like 8,000 colleges in California that you expect one of them to be in the College World Series. The Anteaters, UC Irvine, or one of those teams like Cal Santa Barbara, and they always are popping up. Cal State Fullerton's always there. Like, that's the only sport. Long Beach State, always kicking some butt. Well, speaking of college baseball,
there's
we got some right now.
745 colleges, by the way.
745 colleges in California.
That's including community colleges, too. So
that's
those JUCOs and everything.
Some of them are wishing from the sports world that they had a different governor. They want to get back on the field and play, but that's not their decision to make. Right now, kicking it into full swing when it comes into it. We got college baseball. This came up. This is like the scene from Anchorman. That escalated quickly. Britt just threw a trident at a guy. Like, we didn't see any of this really coming. Like, usually we hear things, though, and they're like, they give us 2 months. Like, yeah, we're excited. July 30th. And you're like, well, that's 8 more weeks, man. This one.
Well, to be fair,
tonight
they did mention this
if we just
at the end of March that they were working to get this together, but they weren't sure when they were going to be able to do it because of everything closing.
We just didn't read the Ocho, not all of it.
It's basically just I mean, this is I think the CSBI or whatever it is 4 different teams. These guys, now these aren't the premier players. Like, let's make this very clear. These are for guys that are trying to get drafted, and if you remember, the draft is now 5 rounds.
You think college baseball is going to like that, though? Like putting your B grade, like guys that are going to ground out into double plays out there?
You know what? I'm happy it's out there.
Me too. I mean, we're baseball fans. But.
You know, whatever. You know, when you look at the rosters, they're not going to be like, wow, this guy, you probably never heard of half of these people, and you shouldn't have. That's why they're playing.
Yeah.
They want to be known because they're not known. So, you know what?
Give them a
baseball.
Chance. It's ESPN2. It's baseball. We're excited. I mean, I think people will be excited overall, too. Looking at we'll be excited for anything. I was getting show notes done and watching Portuguese Liga Soccer today. Would you like to know what the score was? No, you would not. No, okay. No Victoria versus Sporting FC? No. Okay, all right.
No.
All right, kick it into full swing or it'll be all right when sports return here with the teams. Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin, now rivals in the SEC West. Kick it into full swing or, just something.
This year, I think, it's something. I just don't think they both don't have the players they necessarily want as much. Now, Leach does have Costello. I understand that. But he doesn't have the team that he's going to build when we're talking about recruiting. So give it another year.
All right. Tiger Woods defending his Masters during football season now.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
April, you know what you're getting.
I mean, the diehard golf fans, And including, look, I'll watch some of it. I'll flip in between. I'm not sorry, college football and football. I love it, but that's going to be a battle on his own.
We'll be NFL tailgating at the same time. It's going to be the NFL games on that Sunday. That final round.
You're going to have to fight people to turn on the golf.
What about Thursday Night Football if it goes a little late into like the night? That first opening round. Ugh. It really depends
Get
the matchup.
Thursday Night Football out of here.
It's been some pretty awful Thursday Night Football.
You know what, though? At this point, I love it.
Yeah,
give me Maction. Give me Mac football on a Tuesday night, too.
Yeah.
Give me anything.
XFL, kick it into full swing or it'll be all right when it, quote, comes back as we expect.
Kick it into full swing.
Not their best player, P.J. Walker.
I just think the intrigue here is what do they do now? You know, they're auctioning it off August 3rd. Who's going to buy it? What's he going to do with it? Or she? We'll say that, he or she. What are they going to do with it? And what a team's going to look like? We're assuming because a lot of these teams, they can re-sign the deals with the arenas and all this, that it's going to be the same teams. But then you hear about Steve Spurrier possibly being a coach for the Tampa Bay Vipers down there. Look, I just think that brings more intrigue than Mark Trestman. I'm sorry. Mark Trestman looked a little lost out there, but there's more intrigue there. What are the players going to look like? I think that last year, a lot of people, that was a big-time positive, even though they played half of their season, was because just how many guys got signed to the NFL, and that's the whole point in all this. So I think let's full swing here.
All right. Well, Brian Henry just let us know. Like, first off, I write cool to him on the text, and then he immediately follows it up as I write cool with, and Chad, that was a real national title for UWF after that. So I'm now in like a borderline whether I'm going to say it. But since we are the home of UWF, and look, that is our hometown team. This is actually, right now, currently, it is the 9-year anniversary of UWF winning the 2011 Division II national title in baseball. They're live tweeting the game and all the video clips and what's happening right now with the 2011 broadcast. So there you go.
Nice.
What year?
I left the year before.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they won. I was dead weight.
There's a lot of baseball players that can clap and do that. No, you actually.
No,
listen,
I will say this.
I'm not going mano. You got 10 miles per hour on me.
Even when I transferred out, I come back and I watch games. I love those guys. Like I go back to Danny Vargas Vila. I mean, he was unbelievable. Watching him the year before, and he was great the year I was there, obviously coming in as a transfer. But that final year, man, those guys were. That pitching staff was nasty. I mean, and Vargas Vila was unbelievable. Yep. I mean, he was a special talent. God, it was so much fun just being able to see some of those guys too, though, that the year before not playing, getting their opportunity, going out there. Jeff Coate and those guys. Jeff Coate's always done a great job anyway. I think he is one of the quietest coaches around here. People forget. He's been here, it seems like, forever. And they continue to put out unbelievable talent. They continue to recruit unbelievable talent. And they're one of the best teams in a conference that's compared to the SEC in football. The GSC is just, everybody knows, if you know in football how good it is, it's the same way in baseball too.
And when we saw him over there at UWF Media Days, when it was over at Miller Ale House, him and his wife said they watch every night. So if they're out there, Jeff Coate family, we love you. And what you done for here. He did an awesome job with his team in Dragon Boat Festival, too. I had a chance to MC, and they were crushing that. Really, I mean, you got a full team of in-shape baseball players against some people that are like bringing 60-year-old grandmas for charity. It's not always fair, but it's all about strategy in that. That's why I stay on the mic and I get away from the boats. But overall, when you talk about UWF, everybody talks about the national titles in football recently, but it goes so far, and the people that have lived here have known that. Because there wasn't football until 4 years ago, but baseball, Derek Racine in tennis, if they're not in the top 5, them and a team from Hawaii, they always play. Yeah, if they are not in the top 5, it's shocking. And when you set your bar at you either win the title or it's shocking, they're pretty much UConn, the women's basketball program when it comes to basketball, the Husky women, like who have been large and in charge for 40 years, and now you're talking about something where if they're not number 1 or 2, it's something's off that year. And they. Great guy. See him at Roger Scott. When I might have set them back a week or two when I made that comment. Was it back in March? I'm driving by. I live over there right by Roger Scott, and I'm driving by, and I'm like, yeah, I think tennis courts, they're all open. And you're like, I think they got closed today. And I was like, okay, sorry for that group. That was in the middle of their foursome right there. So that doubles match they were going on. Wrong sport. When we come back, we're going to talk some we'll get into some golf, but we also will get into more on kick it in full swing or it's all right, talking about some of the sports stories will you follow when sports returns across the board. Good announcements right now with basketball. We need Major League Baseball to follow.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best network, same as the big carriers, but you save up to 50%. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
I'm Mina Kimes, host of ESPN Daily. Each morning, we bring you a deep dive into a single story from one of ESPN's hundreds of reporters. It's the best of ESPN Daily. ESPN Daily is presented by Marathon. Right now, you can get 5 cents off every gallon every day with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. It's quick and easy to join. Just download the free Make It Count app or go to makeitcount.com/radio and start saving today. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
The king has spoken, and he could not be prouder of this kingdom. Pensacola is strong, and he knows we will all get through this. As the flooring king, he declares that whether it's hardwood, tile, carpet, or even luxury vinyl plank, all loyal subjects are assured that they will receive nothing but first-class installation at the most affordable prices. Don't wait to get started. Stop by their showroom on North Palafox, just south of 9 Mile Road, or find King Jonathan on the Royal Internet Highway at jonathansflooring.com.
Hey guys, I know there's a lot going on right now in the world, and we're all shopping online. I just saw that AT&T started doing 2 really helpful things for those who want to buy a new phone or device online. They're offering fast, free, no contact delivery, and curbside pickup, so that online shopping is as simple and safe as possible. On top of that, they have a flexible return policy, so you can shop at ease. You can visit att.com to learn how to shop online from the safety of your home 24/7. Subject to change, restrictions apply.
The latest sports news is at ESPNpensacola.com and on Facebook at ESPN Pensacola. Plus, watch Chad Brillante, Coach K, and Sports Call live on our exclusive YouTube channel, ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Coming up on Sports Call this Saturday, Jason Fitz from First Take Your Take will be joining us on the program. And what is the future of baseball in 2020? It's complicated. We'll talk about it this Saturday from 11 to 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Well, the news with 5 players testing positive for COVID-19 on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, asymptomatic, but remember, don't let them fool you with that hair. Nick Saban's getting up there in his high 60s, so, you got to be careful with some of it. And I think at this point, we also know that with all the pressure and what we've seen in 2020, that we wish we'd get on a rocket ship and leave. But everything that's happened in 2020, we understand if there's one guy that gets it and he's a big offensive lineman, he has a hard time breathing, and something ends up happening on the field, and he tests positive, whether it was the cause or not, because George Floyd, this is a fact, but he tested positive for the coronavirus. That's not the death. It was because the cop had his leg on his right there on his neck. Let's make that clear. But there are a lot of people that are asymptomatic. And if somebody goes out there and something happens on the field, and we see a situation where they do test positive, it could put a halt on all sports immediately, not just college football, with the way America and what we've seen. So this is, even though it's not, like I said, it's not like people are running.
Yeah. The NBA, what happened with
Rudy Gobert and all that.
And then everybody stopped. So I mean, it is a possibility, but I do make it clear that just because we have positive signs, people that test positive, it does not mean it's a negative. Look, the testing is working. I think that's important.
Great point.
These guys, once again, we said this from the beginning. It's going to be how people react to this. If teams, they have to do their due diligence in order to make this work, because if these teams truly care about the football season, they truly care about the player as well. Obviously, that comes first. But if they want this to happen, they're going to have to follow protocols, and they're going to have to follow them very closely, which was why it's so important these guys report in June, because this is going to take some time to get used to.
And we don't know all the answers at this point. Alabama's not the only one that is going to have this test. It's
Marshall
not like
had
they're
two.
Yeah.
Marshall University had 2 tests positive the other day, too.
Thundering Herd right there.
Yeah, they're thundering right along.
All that clapping. They're supposed to shock her. You seen there?
I have.
That's
unfortunate.
That's what they're. I mean, got it. That's not the protocol. That's not what you see them go like this.
Horns down.
We used to have to see Marshall every year. That green stood out in the crowd in our 40,000 fake national title right there. Looking at some of the other things going on right now, well, we talked about college baseball, but Major League Baseball still seems to be the one that, frankly, at this point, when you look at KBO setting the bar, Chinese Taipei leagues, Japan, a lot of leagues right now are happening. And there's a blueprint for it. People are still wearing masks with the Dinos out there dancing around. I know that's your team. They're doing well against the Doosan Bears. Those games going on at 4:30 in the morning. Tried it once. I can't do it again. I mean, from a 4:30 standpoint. I'll watch baseball anytime. But one thing we need to understand is baseball was the one out of everybody. We felt like social distance already. You have a lot of space. So if you had to and not have crowds, you could put some of the players up in the stands, spread them out. When they're coming up to bat, they come down. Whatever they needed to do, we could make baseball work. You talked about having the peanuts and the ushers out there, making it sound like the
beer guy, ice cold beer,
ice cold beer
at Blue Wahoo Stadium.
What about the nachos guy? Nachos. What rank for a baseball game is hot dogs number one after the ice cold guy? Ice cold refreshment guy.
I don't know. I just go by Blue Wahoos just because that's. I remember from when they opened up the very first year until you go the last game you ever go to with them, you always remember the ice cold beer guy.
Cashier smashed the hot dog cannon gun getting shot at you. Would you eat one of those?
I have. Actually, covering the Friday night football games on, the guy shot one in the booth one time, or last year with me and Christian. It was great. You dang right I ate it.
100% you better eat it.
I've eaten worse.
Don't waste a hot dog.
No.
That's the moral of everything right now. Do never waste a hot dog. We're coming back for more.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up in the second of the Sports Drive, well, it looks like Florida State on the right track to mending some relationships between the players and coaches, which are going to be big. The NBA, 22 teams out at Disney. New logo? Let's put some Mickey ears, $75 a piece.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Pass across the middle, and it's caught for the first. It's Baldwin, shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derrick Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of
world, Roy Jones Jr. Ball's been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
Spider web. Not real. You're like, okay, I'm out. Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Working in radio when you got the, or even play-by-play, when you've got the headsets going on in small booth areas. Not everything's like the plush, what you see with like Herb Street up there with Fowler and the guys.
It is not
at
like
all.
that.
Like a lot of times there might not be AC. The windows will fog up. You can't see. We've got some space. We've social distance outside the studio, actually. So it's nice to be back in here with this right here. But when it comes down to the webs and the things out here, middle of it right there.
Your ADD does not help either.
No, it doesn't. And no caffeine right now for doctor's orders for now going on week and a half? I'm just trying to add days to get by. He's like, at least for 2 weeks. So, like, it might have only been, I think it's been like a week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week, but I'm like, yeah, 4 months ago. Like, no, you can't just
last
hurry
Tuesday.
up.
Last Tuesday.
Well, and we talked about it because the bars open up tomorrow. For New York Nick, tonight at midnight, he's already. I mean, I know, there might be, if you want like maybe you didn't get your stimulus check and a guy that might just be throwing things up in the air, like this might be a New Year's Eve party.
Bar,
midnight tonight, officially.
But are there bars downtown that are opening at midnight? I tell you what,
he is.
Might be fun. Well, I agree. He will.
No,
but
he's already he's been have you followed Nick in the last
No,
I've worked with New York Nick over the years.
That's it.
He used to be a DJ and a broadcaster. So, yeah, we've talked for years. He called in. He berated me one time for saying Jim Boeheim wasn't doing a good job in a game. And I was like, he didn't. It was an NIT game, and I said, quit talking about it. But, Nick, huge Hughes fan, and everybody in town knows he's been waiting for this day. If you have social media, you know a lot of things are happening around the country. And if you live in Pensacola, you know that he's been waiting to open up. You can hear him from miles away. Like the Blue Wahoo's fireworks off the bay, you can hear him at night being like, open the doors! And tonight at midnight, he's waiting for it. It's going to be a huge party. I'm not going to be there at all. I can't unless I want water. Looking at some of the things right now with what's going on around Major League Baseball. At this point, you said over under 50 games. Do you believe that you said the under, correct? Or under, I'm sorry.
Under 60.
Under 60. What time frame, based on that now, the NBA has set a date. They're going to get over there, and if the people don't know, 22 teams, they're going to play 8 games down the stretch, and then they're going to go back to, it looks like, the 16-team playoff format. So 6 teams will be eliminated over an 8-game span. It's all going to happen at Disney World, and then they're going to continue to play. Does Major League Baseball set a date and get back before the NBA, which is happening coming up in July?
I want to say yes, but at the same time, that's tough. I think it may be the same time that they come back, just because when we're talking about July 31st and that date there, Major League Baseball, these guys are not going to be able to look. This is not like, all right, you just condition and you're good to go. The hitting, the throwing, all this stuff, you have to continuously build back up, because now some guys have been doing this, I'm sure, the entire time, obviously. Some guys, not as much. So I think it will take, I personally, just from playing the game before, I think it will take a solid month of preparation before they can play games. And remember, it's important that they come back, and now for us, we don't care. But it's important that when they come back, they're ready to go, just because If you play 50 games from day one, each and every game is deciding the playoffs. And you could say, yeah, well, it's the case of 162. Teams lose by one or whatever. No, I'm just saying there's 50 games. That's it. And we're going to see teams do things we've never seen before. So I think that if they come back, I think they will come back at the same time. The only reason that I'm skeptical on this is we're not hearing a whole lot. And this is a big week. This was supposed to be the week they were supposed to finalize everything. And tomorrow is Friday. So the longer this pushes on, we're into June now. If these guys come to an agreement on June 15th, you're talking about immediately. If you did a month later, that's July 15th. It's going to take a little bit longer than that because you got to get guys in places wherever they're going to play and figure out all those issues and all that. So I would honestly think August 1st, that July 31st realm, that's where I'm thinking now. Best case scenario. I hate to say this. I think that's best case scenario.
Well, they have until it's pretty much late July, so they got about 8 weeks to get it in. Are we going to get a overload? Look, there's enough. We've talked about the Ochos, and there's enough channels you can't even find. Half the time, if you have a DirecTV, satellite, or any type of Cox cable, Hulu, wireless, doesn't matter. There's so many channels these days, sometimes you forget the game's even there. You're like, why didn't you check out ESPN 9? You're like, I didn't know it was there. I would love to. That's where UCF used to be.
Oh, the 9?
Before our fake national title. But I have to say, though, if you're watching most of these games, there's going to be an overload. There will be an overload at one point if it happens. But would you be okay with, like, Major League Baseball on a Sunday night? Because we've never had to deal with this. But Major League Baseball, you got the guys in the booth and Jessica Mendoza. And then you got the Yankees and Red Sox or Cubs versus Cardinals. And then it's boxed right next to, like, a game between the Lakers and Clippers in the Western Conference Finals.
Doesn't hurt my feelings.
Be pretty cool. They'll never do it because of the rights, and I'm just saying. I mean, 100% that's not happening. But
I like the whole the MLB package that they have.
It's a nice package
where you can put it is.
It is.
Other reasons, but anyway, where you have like the 2 or 3 games up at one time. I love that. That saves me having to bring TVs into one room.
That's
just saying.
That's all into one. Did I really that day about the 4 screens? You didn't know about that with the. When the MLB package that you could watch all 4 games at once?
Yeah.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah.
You're usually ahead of those things. Like you're showing me how to I don't mind admitting it, but I'm like, how do you get the apps on the phones? Like, this is not 2011, Chad, and he's showing me how to get apps on here right here. I got Noggin for my daughter right now. We can play Blue's Clues.
Oh, nice.
Look at that right there. It's huge.
A Noggin. You weren't lying. Okay.
No, I'm not lying. I'm paying for it too. Look at that. Paw Patrol, all that right there. But look at that. Well, listen, when you get inside what they have, awesome, daughter. But
I'm sure it's for her. I'm sure it's not you.
Talking about right now with the college football start, Dan Mullen talked about the opportunities to utilize the offense. Actually, some football talk instead of having to talk outside of football, and how they were going to use Emory Jones this year within the offense. And Coach Mullen said, first off, we're not until we get back on the field. And we get through the process, since we missed our spring game, the orange and blue game, all this stuff happening is going to be hard right now to decide how much to utilize our athletes. We're taking one step at a time, and we'll be blessed if we play this season a full slate. But I do think it is going to be something that we see, unlike a lot of teams in college football, where you have a Heisman Trophy winner, pretty much, or not winner, a Heisman Trophy candidate, apologies there, in a Kyle Trask. He's in the top 5. Top 10. Top 10 for sure. Your front runners are clear in Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. You always have some running backs out there, but you're going to put them at least in the top 10.
Felipe Franks.
No,
yes.
I'm not mentioning that. That's Sam Pittman for Coach of the Year then, I guess. For World, he better win all. He would win the ESPY for greatest coach if Felipe Franks wins the Heisman. Sam Pittman. That just gets a bunch of hogs out there on the line. That's what he knows what to do. I do think, though, that if you're Florida, cash it or smash it, we're going to see a style very similar to the way Chris Leak played when he was the starter as a national champion and Tim Tebow was utilized in so many roles as a freshman.
Man, I've said this for a while that I thought it was going to be interesting to see how he utilized him, but I don't know. I don't.
I'll take that as a decent question with the Psy right there.
Yeah, it is because I can see it going both ways, and I can see it where you utilize it because it's an intricate piece of your offense. It's almost like that utility player, on your team. You can put him anywhere. But I don't know if things are rolling with Trask. If we'll see how good that receiving core is. With guys leaving, we know the talent they have, but they still have to put it on the field. We'll see if things are rolling right along and they don't have to use it. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I think it will. I think we will see it though, for the sole fact of it brings a different element and it makes it. But when you talk about playing Georgia, which that obviously is the game, you have to win in order to take that next step. I think that can make it that much tougher on Georgia, because if you line up and just play that Georgia defense, good luck, buddy, because they are tough. They are really tough, and I think if you have that other element, it adds a little more intrigue to the offense. So any little thing can give you an edge, I think they'll do. So yes, I will just go ahead and say it. I'll suck it up and give you a true answer, and not an in-between answer. Yes, they will utilize that.
Look, right now the Gators know their prime, especially not having Jamie Newman, whoever is the starting quarterback at Georgia. This is good for the Gators. The Gators pretty much know that they have a lot of weapons. They lost a couple guys that are vital. I mean, you lost guys like Jonathan Grenard on defense. You lost guys that went in the first round, and we saw a guy like C.J. Henderson, or what we saw from the offense when guys like Van Jefferson, who you and I had a chance to talk to out in Blue Wahoo Stadium when the Senior Bowl was down here, really nice guy, class act. They did lose some targets, but you got guys like Kyle Pitts. You got Jacob Copeland right here. Do you call him Slash here? Does he represent Escambia or Pine Forest? Where do you go on that?
Escambia.
Okay. All right. The last team. That's fair.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Just saying. Representing Pensacola. Let's just go.
Yeah, there you go. Pensacola.
There you go.
That's better.
That's better. His mama wants to be representing somewhere else as well.
Yes, that's true.
She would.
She wants him to be somewhere else.
He wouldn't be in a Corona report today on that website if it was. There you go. Be a different website maybe, but we pray he doesn't get it. 398 consecutive games. Do you know what that is? That is the record for most games in college football right now without being shut out consecutively. And it goes to?
Don't know. Cal Poly.
It does.
Okay, I was going to say.
Clearly not.
I feel like Cal Poly's been shut out before.
We're giving him a lot of love today just because these shirts were cheap and we decided to wear them today. That's the moral of the story, because I'm sure somebody's asking that question at home. They're discounted. Go to a lot of places right now. It's like 90% off shirts. But
don't give away our secret, because I got to go.
There's another part to it. We're not getting involved in that. But the Florida Gators. It's the Florida Gators.
Wow.
There you go. 390. Jeffrey D., if you're out there listening, best streak. Now that's a that can be a misconstrued stat, because you can lose a lot of games in your career, like 28-3, and it's not going to give you, we didn't lose with a shutout right there, but they found a way to get points up there every single time. So good for that right there. Would you put the Gators right now currently, because Athlon Magazine came out with their top 25, and we were taking a look at it earlier today. Brent Baird was talking about the magazines are out. We're excited about them. It's something to talk about when
Is Lindy Sports out?
I did not see Lindy's out. And he used to work for Lindy, so maybe that was like a misdirection. Like, you know what, fine, let's go Athlon. But he did give out the overall where the top 25 was. Clemson checking in at number 1. Any problem here?
Nope.
Alabama at number 2?
Nope.
Ohio State at number 3?
Nope.
I'd personally put Ohio State number 2. Sorry, I'm not making friends by saying this, but just based on Justin Fields versus Mac Jones coming back, I would do that, and a lot of the returners. But either way, I'm fine, because Alabama's got a nasty roster returning back.
I think you could put any of those teams at number 1, and I wouldn't scoff.
I think that's fair.
Of what they got coming back.
Yeah. Number 4, Oklahoma. Doesn't matter who they're putting out there. It seems like.
I disagree with that, but once again, I will say this, because Lincoln Riley made the comment he's worried that coaches are going to take advantage of this voluntary rule for players to come back. I'm not going to get into that. I am a little biased towards him, because I think his comments are more along the lines. He said he calls out some of the conferences. We obviously know Big Ten, SEC. He's calling those out, and we obviously know that that's because they really can't beat them. He's struggled against them lately. For Oklahoma, I don't understand the hype as much on Oklahoma. I know the Spencer Rattler, the quarterback they're bringing back.
What a name!
I know. Look, I know. I agree. I think he's a good kid, but once again, it's a guy we don't know. Like, we have no idea. We know with Trask coming up because of what he did. We don't know with Bryce Young in Alabama, but we do know Mac Jones. We got to see some of that pie there. But the defense, like, where's Oklahoma going to find defense? I mean, they lost a bunch of their defensive guys. Their defense was already bad. This is a team in the Big 12. I guess
some guy in Norman has been saying that for 20 years, though, and they still find a way in the college football playoff a lot.
It's a team that almost lost, like 5 games last year. I know they didn't. I get that. I'm not stupid, okay? I might be a little bit. But I think it's more along the lines of me personally. This is just me, and I've never been about this hype train. I believe this is Texas. This is the University of Texas. This is their year to overtake Oklahoma. I think because there's so much hype on this Oklahoma team, and I don't see it. Where before we saw Jalen Hurts went there, we were like, yeah, this team's going to be good. You saw CeeDee Lamb. You saw some of those guys. They lost so much there. And even on defense, their studs they had on defense, they're gone now. Neville Gallimore and those guys, Kenneth Murray, they're gone. They're out of there. I think Texas, I like Sam Ehlinger. I don't love him. I like him. I think that, listen, if all the hype above Sam Ehlinger, he better step up, and this is his year. I think for Herman and those guys, it's boom or bust at this time. I'm not talking about boom or sooner. It's boom or bust. I think Texas is going to overtake Oklahoma. Maybe that's a bold prediction. If it is, throw it out there. That's my, whatever you want to call it, the guy from Texas A&M. That's my comment.
There it is right there. That's a bold statement, Cotton. And Nevin Gallimore's house, by the way, in the draft wins the most ridiculous looking. It looked like almost like an airport in Zimbabwe. Not the cultural hats. One guy had like one of those big like top hats over the top. Like one of the other guys looked like one of the witch doctors in those movies that came out of the TP. It was the craziest people said. I've never seen something. In the background, it looked like a koi pond at like one of those buffet restaurants that you just sit in the lobby and you don't know why because it's a buffet and you can just walk in. But it ridiculously.
God, I miss buffets.
Look at Gallimore's his house. That's a fun house. I wanted to be in. Want to be part of it right there. Not really in Roger Goodell's basement. That didn't sound right either way, but him falling asleep and eating M&Ms was not the best look overall. Spencer Rattler, though, here's the thing that we have to say about Oklahoma, though, is even though you're right, I've watched the video and he's supposed to got the hype coming up. That's every quarterback that's at a top 5 school because you're going to be a big name. They're not going to throw some bozo. We don't know if Bryce Lewis is going to live up to expectations, but we know that Bryce Young, I meant. But when it comes down to Bryce Lewis,
find out where he's.
He's
let me see.
He's going to do some big things. But we do know at this point that Bryce Young was highly touted, or Alabama wouldn't be landing helicopters on the West Coast in California. He's not the biggest guy, but he's a heck of a football player. If it works out, we don't know. Cooper Bateman didn't. Alec Morris didn't. There's been some guys that didn't fit the system. But we do understand that they're going to put an elite quarterback at that position. Same thing with Oklahoma. The one thing I'll say, though, is the track record. It is hard and probably unfair to a point. Everybody's got an opinion on things, and we just don't know. You and I both agree we don't know enough right now about Rattler. But if you had to say, can Lincoln Riley mold somebody into another elite quarterback? He's done nothing but have the most exceptional quarterback resume you can possibly have as a head coach. He took a guy that came to the school in Baker Mayfield, Dr. Baker Mayfield.
Dr. Owner
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, thank you.
In those commercials there in Cleveland. We'll see how long. He might be having to sell that real estate property here soon. But Baker Mayfield was a Uber driver, a guy that was playing intramural football at Texas Tech, and comes over and transfers. Ends up getting the job, goes and wins a Heisman Trophy, led them to a national title, and then was the number 1 overall draft pick. So that's his first guy as his overall starter. Next guy in line, Kyler Murray. Gets Murray to come over, another transfer that got beat out, probably shouldn't have now if Texas A&M could go back in a time machine, but loses his job in Texas A&M, comes over to a school like Oklahoma and Norman, goes to a national or college football playoff, wins a Heisman, and is the number 1 pick. So far we're on a pretty solid track overall. Next season, Jalen Hurts, which clearly wasn't going to play, class act. He sat behind a guy, he stepped up in the big moments, helped lead Tua and that Alabama team to a national title. If it wasn't for him in Georgia stepping up in that SEC title game, he steps in. A lot of people pessimists about him being a regular everyday quarterback. Goes on to have one of the better seasons overall stat-wise. Goes to right there to New York for a Heisman Trophy ceremony. Was one of the ones voted in. Nobody was going to beat Joe Burrow on a year like this. And has a chance to go in the second round, which was a shocker to everybody, and leads his team to a college football playoff. So far his track record is about as en fuego as it gets. So based on that alone, if Riley got to the mic, which they're not having Big 12 media days, but if he got to the mic and said he could be the next big deal, next real deal, then I'm going to have to believe him until he proves otherwise. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, we're both in the same mix. We both don't know enough about Rattler, but if Lincoln Riley's saying he's the next best thing, then there's nothing that he's proven to say that he would be wrong in his assessments.
I do, just showing you this real quick.
Yeah.
See how empty that depth chart is? That's of what's returned. Now, that's not counting the guys they recruited this year. A lot of sophomores and freshmen on that list.
Is that Oklahoma right there?
Yeah, it is. And that's where I wonder. And I'm not, look, Lincoln Riley has done, like you said, special things with a lot of players. Offensively, you expect them no matter what to be good. I think the bigger thing here is, much like Texas, Texas is bringing back a lot offensively, but it's not the offense that's been the problem. It's been the defense. You looked at Texas last year and against LSU, were toe-to-toe with that team for a while. I know it was early. I know the defense wasn't playing as well, but Texas, people blame Charlie Strong at Texas, saying the defense doesn't tackle. Well, they're not doing a whole lot better with Tom Herman either. I want to make that very clear. But that's my bold prediction. I just think that this is the year because Oklahoma is down. They're as down as they probably will be for a very long time.
There's not a contender in the Big 12, though.
No, there's not. No, not at all.
And you agree. I mean, all of this stuff is to hype up the offense and to Spencer Rattler, but I'm not saying for 2 seconds. Don't think for 2 seconds I think they're one of the bad boys.
No.
I think but after here's the deal, though. After them at 4, they're all arguments. So what we're saying here is the big dogs eat 1, 2, 3. Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State. LSU fans expect Miles Brennan and the team to pick it up, but remember, you just lost literally an entire team. You set an NFL record for most draft picks in a draft by the 3rd round this year. There were still 4 more rounds to go, and you had already set the record for most picks in an NFL draft. That's a good thing? Go Tigers, as your coach would say, but it also hurts because that means all of those guys are no longer on your team, especially the best quarterback for one single season in the history of the game, and the guy that motivated him offensively to create that mindset with Joe Brady. It's going to be an intriguing year. Remember, I claim half those titles. It's part of my family there. Purple and gold, baby. So on that note, I love them. But after 4, Penn State, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon, don't get too excited. I'm just saying, but overall, there's none of those names are like, boom, that team should be ahead of Oklahoma. It's Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and then we'll see. And LSU is still the champion. So, as I've said during the parade, until somebody beats you, enjoy it.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this. And as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Whether you're building a new home or considering a renovation, choosing the right construction partner makes all the difference. At Lacoste Construction Group, they are a local family-owned business, and they pride themselves on work ethic and true craftsmanship, specializing in both new construction and renovations for both commercial and residential projects. Lacoste Construction Group is with you every step from consulting and budgeting to design and engineering. Get started turning your home or business into the space of your dreams today at LacosteConstructionGroup.com.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
3-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome to Bold!
Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from him.
A message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom. Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM contest rules. You can win one prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes are non-transferable, non-redeemable for cash, or exchangeable for any other contest prize. Prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning and must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Keeping it moving. What are we doing? If we ain't moving, hey, keeping it moving. Like, what are we doing? If we ain't moving, keeping it groovy. Hey, yeah. I own a business, I don't own a suit.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. As we talked about, from a lot of Florida State fans, don't have to get too into it because the real Florida State fans have been looking at this all day, but Mike Norvell has talked to his players about, at that point, the folks between Big Marv and all the guys saying more of a broad term. I talked to my players. A lot of them said, you didn't talk to us individually, Coach. They were upset. They weren't going to practice. He went out and he said, I apologize. He's talked to those guys individually, and it looks like they're on the right track, and they're doing good things. Charity work around around Tallahassee, donating scholarships, raising money, and seems like everybody's back on track. And that's good news for a team that needs it right now because, honestly, outside of you being a Florida or being a fan of a team like a Clemson or Miami, most of the country is rooting for Florida State to at least have something back of that fame. Because when the good teams, when Notre Dame, when teams like Michigan, teams that aren't great right now, they're good but not great. Penn State's back to a better form. Nebraska's of the world, USC's, Texas's. When those schools are Florida's, Miami's, when they're playing better, it's better for football to have the big hitters we all know, the legendary teams, even at Tennessee. It's been about 20 years, but at one point we expected Rocky Top every year. When those teams are a lot better, it's better for football. And it's not right to see Florida State how they've been the last couple seasons. So we expect Mike Norvell. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm happy today, JP, to know that it seems like at the beginning, waking up at 7:30 and having to read these to now, seems like it's a lot better in a 24-hour period.
It just shows sometimes talking helps.
Yeah.
I think it's all about the actions, and you know what? Norvell made a mistake. They talked about it. They got it solved. It's funny how easy some things can be solved when you meet face-to-face with people, and you really want – you have to want the change as well. You have to want to be better, and you have to be able to look at yourself and understand that, you know what, sometimes we do make mistakes, and owning up to it. There you go. But on a bigger note –
yes.
I was trying to watch Tony Bassetti right there. He got hit by a pitch, so now Team Liberty's beating Team Unity 2-0. Tony Bassetti out of Nevada? You looking at me like you never heard of him?
Listen,
I've never heard of him either.
Thought you meant Tony.
There's LaTroy Hawkins right there.
Tony Basoli now.
No, not him.
Offensive line.
LaTroy coming out to the mound visit. That's a guy. If he can tell me what to do on the mound.
I'm glad today though that you're watching it, not me, because this would have been. I mean, I'm having a hard enough time right now without caffeine for now. A week, it feels like a year right now. But doctor's orders. I'd be watching this whole thing. It's live sports right now. We got live college baseball.
ESPN too.
Now, based on this though, spring sports, remember, have been canceled. They're not bringing it back this year. Like the sports like baseball, And when it comes to college baseball, it's not happening. But when do you think? How do you think college baseball in a lot of cities? It's an intricate state of people going out to the ballpark and watching their teams. I mean, even UWF, we got a solid fan base, but all over the South, there are people that love their college baseball teams from all levels. I had a chance to call the NJCAA games when you have schools from outside of Dothan, Alabama, and Ozark, and you're calling those Shelton versus games against. Oh yeah, and
tons of pitchers.
A lot of teams though. When you talk about, I've had a chance. I called actually a number of those games throughout the Panhandle Conference, and you would see a lot of teams in community colleges too. Pensacola State taking on those teams. Bill Hamilton and the guys, but JP, a lot of people are going to be missing that in a lot of cities. They'll get their Braves, hopefully. They'll get some of these games mixed in, but are we going to see more of this? Do you believe we're going to have more college baseball where at least we have a chance, not by the university books, because that's not going to happen until next year at this point, but you think they're going to figure out some kind of game plan where we can get more of this? It's not an easy answer. I mean,
you talking about like this year?
I mean, yeah, more of this.
I mean, this is nothing. Yeah. I don't think it'll be anything like this, just because this is more of a last-ditch effort to try to get these guys some exposure, because the draft is next week.
Tell the people that don't know. We've been talking about it throughout the show, but what this game consists of?
Well, the CSBI is what it's, and it's basically a collegiate summer baseball invitational, and it's 4 teams, coached by pretty much 4 different, former major leaguers, and coaches, of course, but it's teams that comprise, I believe it's 84 players. There's 66 colleges or universities that are represented in this, and it's guys that you're not going to see the big name guys that are going to go in the first and second round in the MLB draft. If you follow that, I do, but if you follow that, these are guys that are going to be on the cusp, because remember, the MLB draft is now 5 rounds. It's not what it was, and it
used to be like 40.
Well,
rounds.
It was 40, but because of the COVID-19, it's now 5. And we've seen teams cut minor leaguers as well.
That's why my excuse. I was telling my kids I was going to be a 6th rounder.
There you go.
Now
it fits.
Yeah.
But
you won't see me in the draft this year.
This is guys. I mean, right now, and you're seeing some rust on some of these guys. I'm actually surprised with the offense. It's doing as well as it is. But it's just an opportunity. It's on ESPN and it starts today. Of course, there's one more game after today. There's 4 teams in this, like I said. But I think after today, I think you have to pay a subscription fee to watch the rest of the tournament. And I get it. I'm not. You know what? They're trying to make a little bit, make a little money here for the CSBI and what they're doing, and that's to help also continue to do things like this. Now, do I think that there'll be more of this? I don't think to this extent. I do think tournaments. Yes, there'll be some tournaments, but you know what? For like you said, a lot of these teams, and I played for a little bit in JUCO over there at Faulkner State. Now it's, I forget what it is. It's Alabama something, Coastal Alabama, I think is what it is. And there's 3 different ones. There's ones over in Bruton. There's one over in Monroeville. But
did you guys play Union?
Yep, we played Union. That was the big rival right there, Union. Skip, our coach over there, was mortal enemies with the other coach. But it was so much fun. But so much good baseball, too. Anybody that's been a part of that, a lot of good baseball. Playing Chat Valley, going Chattahoochee Valley, and you see the big mural of Tim Hudson up there. Tim Hudson actually showed up to the game. We were there. He was, he's a big, proud alumni. Those guys are big and juiced up. Not going to say why, but going and play in Hanceville, Wallace Hanceville.
Good protein shakes. Good.
So many guys. There's so many players. If you go back and look at it, that went to the big leagues from JUCO, and some of these guys.
Bryce Harper. Think about Bryce Harper. Yeah. He came from Southern Nevada.
Well, the year before I had went there, they had went to the World Series, and they had played Bryce Harper in the World Series, in the JUCO World Series, and it was so funny because.
Do you know I called it?
Really,
he was over there.
Grand Junction?
Yeah, Grand Junction, Colorado. We had it right down the road. That's where. So my path has taken me on some extreme games and all, but we called that, and then we also called the College World Series in St. George, Utah, for softball for the NJCA. So we were in St. George, Utah, which had the best bison burger, and we're in Grand Junction, Colorado. We had to fly into Vegas. They didn't have an airport, and then go through the mountains to get there to Grand Junction. Yeah, and it was the worst dust storm ever. It was coming right through. And it was so nasty. You couldn't see anything. Yeah, Steve Barnes, some of those guys here locally, called the games, yeah. It was, I mean, it's not one that I'm, like, putting on the resume as, like, that was. But it was, I mean, we called the NJCAA World Series games right there. But it was Grand Junction,
But Colorado. It goes, like PSC here. It was PJC before. A lot of people still remember it. I remember, of course, Northwest Florida State College used to be Okaloosa Walton. That was what it was. and, of course, a lot of things, but a lot of great baseball. I think the misconception for a lot of people is that players that go to these JUCOs are not as good as some of these other players. I disagree. A lot of these other players go JUCO, and you know this. Some of them, because they can get drafted immediately, they can take off immediately, and there's not as much hesitation with it. And they get plenty. The one thing in JUCO that's tough when you go play at UWF, you can only play so many games in the fall, and you have to be against JUCOs. You have to be – the NCAA rules for that are so intricate. JUCO, we played like 50 games in the fall. You can play whoever the heck you want. And so you get a lot more exposure so it's cool. But I think this right here is actually pretty neat for some people who are like, oh, boring. Get out of here. It's live games. These aren't top tier players, but these are guys that, you know what, they're college baseball players that are playing at prominent universities. I think it's neat. I think it's a great idea. I'm so happy they actually went through with it. And after the show's over, I'm going to go watch the next game.
First off, if anybody is questioning right now any pretty much school or any game that people are watching these days, outside of that, I was pushing it with that monkey playing ping pong that day. But if you're watching anything else, it just means you're a sports fan. You get out of here. Not you. I'm just saying the people out there that are judging.
I want to get out of here and watch this game.
Exactly.
Go to the bar. Well, no, gotta wait till tomorrow. Jeez.
By the way, it was I do remember now flashbacks. I was like, geez, I've been broadcasting way too long here in some of these games. I was paying like $50 a pop there. But it was something. I was out there. But I remember it was Chipola was the college that everybody that was representing us in Marianna, was pretty much, or the area that we were covering. We was the Panhandle Broadcasting Network, and then also with Mesa Community College out in and I believe Yuma, Arizona. Those were the two schools that were like the big hitters that year.
San Jac was in there too. San Jacinto. They were
always
there.
Yes, that was
every year.
Yes, that was
it.
Well, their softball team was just crushing everybody. But now that you said that, when you said San Jac at first, I thought like that sounds like a character out of one of the new Marvel. But now that when you said that, because I remember having to go down to the field and get all their pronunciations because most of the players were from Mexico, the Mexican descent, and not all the names were easy.
That's a big reason why they're so good. I mean, they are. It's call it what it is. Chipola gets a lot of guys like that as well. And Chipola, it's funny because you go to Chipola, there's nothing around in Marianna, but they're one of the best JUCOs in the country.
They've been really good for a long time, and
really good.
Their coach had been there forever. He's a nice guy. Well, he's a tough guy. I mean, good coach. Let's end there. When we come back, we're going to talk some more on some college baseball. We'll get into some Major League Baseball talk and more what's happening around today. A lot of people issuing apologies. Jake Fromm, the next one. We know that's coming, but will Jake's situation be as easy as the rest? Probably not. Let everybody else, the public opinion will decide. Us talking about it will do no good right now. We're coming back for more. Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
For your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. Hockey legend Gordie Howe suffers from cryophobia, the extreme fear of cold and ice. That's what I call facing your fears. The grass at Wimbledon was kept 2 inches long until 1949 when an English player was bitten by a snake. And a man in Mississippi was briefly imprisoned for sorcery in 1884 after throwing a curveball at a county fair. So that means Clayton Kershaw would have been a wizard, right? That's your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP. JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19. Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. love, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't talking now. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna dine in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cruel love. Hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cruel love. Body of mine, losing all my innocence. Yeah, body of mine, grinding on my innocence. Yeah, body of mine.
And welcome back. 6:42 on this Thursday evening. Once again, from our area and what we cover, let's not forget in all of this, it's been a tough week, obviously, around the news, but also around the SEC and the football family with legendary Auburn coach Pat Dye and legendary Tennessee coach Johnny Majors both passing this week. And I know folks like Kay Stevenson, who you have a chance to work with, I've worked with and hosted over the years and been there with Coach. These are a lot of friends of people like that. Remember, Coach played with Steve Spurrier in the SEC during the times, or a little bit before, but saw him watch Johnny Majors at Tennessee and watch Pat Dye play at Georgia only a couple years after him. So a lot of these people, friends from when they played and even the days when they coached, where Coach went on to coach in the NFL, and many of them continued in the SEC. We talked to legendary Alabama coach Gene Stallings on the show yesterday. Great interview, and he reminisced on, his thoughts about everything, what's going on, and it's sad. But he was also on his tractor doing his thing. He's not going to stop, let people stop him. One of the best things, and I thought Cam Jordan's comments, too, about, how people were saying, the best thing for me to do is turn it all off and let my kids do other things, and Cam's like, I can't do that. Fully understand that everybody has to take this differently. And what I can't look at the same as people I respect the heck out of, business partners and friends of people like a Fred Robbins or an Emery Smith or other people. I can't sit here today and tell them what to think, because I can't. I'm not going to speak on behalf, or I'm not the person to make the change from Black Lives Matter. I can speak my opinion. I can be part of it. I could put up a sign and stand there with the protest. I could go to the meetings. But ultimately, I know I wake up every day and I don't see color. And the things that from a standpoint of that I live my life as a good person, so does JP. If you do know in your heart you're that person, you can advocate, you can change, but you're not the one ultimately that's going to speak on behalf. So Cam Jordan saying that, I get that, and good for him.
It's important. Once again, if you have a problem, there's nothing wrong with admitting you have a problem. The problem comes where you're complacent with it, where you're like, well, I'm not going to fix it.
Exactly.
That's where the issue lies. We all have our own demons, no matter what they may be. Everybody goes through things. Don't go through things alone. Reach out to people. Let people help you. There are plenty of people. Look, for me, family, friends, whatever. I've went through plenty of things. Nothing terrible like some people have gone through. I'm not going to put myself up there because it's not about me. But the one thing that I learned is growing up as in high school, holding things to yourself do nothing but make things worse. They boil up where it becomes a tremendous problem psychologically. And I just think the biggest thing in all this, listen, if you believe there's a problem, then go after it. Find a way to fix it. But if you're like, well, you know what, I'm not going to fix it, or you're just sitting there like, I ain't got a problem, and you don't check yourself out daily, that's where the issue comes. So, you know what? That's not just with certain people. That's everybody in this world right now. It's important that we do this, especially with everything changing in our daily lives.
850-623-1330 is the number. Yeah, Damian Harris just tweeted out, former Alabama running back. He said, to all the people telling me America's been so good to you, answer me this. Have you ever walked a day in my shoes? Have you ever been called things my family have been called? Have you ever been told to shut up and play sports? If not, that's called privilege. And you know what? He's dealt with that, so I'm not going to sit here at all and tell him how to feel. That's not our job to tell him how to feel. Yep. And the respect of our nation is founded on having people say, you know what, I've never dealt with this, and people that have. And, talking about this baseball game, though, how's it going now?
It's going. I don't mean there's trying to – it's so weird because, not that I've watched a lot of these guys, of course. I didn't have a whole lot of chance to watch too many people anyway. But, they're all – it's weird watching these guys wearing the same jersey. They're from different places. It almost looks like a travel ball team out here playing. I mean, it looks really weird. I don't know. Like I said, this is great. It's tough to watch to start off with because you don't – a lot of these teams – if you're watching college baseball, you're probably watching a team that you know a little bit about or you like. These guys, it's like a smorgasbord of college players. So, you know what? It's live games.
When we come back, we'll take a look here at some of the NFL stories that we hope and we expect here from training camp coming up here soon, if that ever gets rolling. And also the NFL talking about teams to make the biggest impact. We'll talk about the team that is expected to fall the furthest back, the team that might be the darkest, that team that might be a sleeper, and also the team that we expect to win it all once again. It's all coming back. We'll talk some NFL football when we return on the Sports Drive.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom. Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back, Sports Drive. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante, JP on the other side of our glass. John and the folks back at Blab TV holding it down. 850-623-1330 is the number. NBA 22 teams will be headed to Disney World right there at the Magical World to play 8 games and then into the playoffs where they will start what is believed to go the regular 16 teams in the playoffs. But they'll have 22 invites. They'll all play at Wide World of Sports in Disney. And then the best top 8 seeds as usual out of the Eastern Western Conference will move on, and 6 at that point will be eliminated. That will happen late July, so we'll have about 2 months. If you live in Orlando, it's great. You got 22 teams now and superstars, the best of the best, top 22 teams going to be out there playing in Zion, including that. If you were in Disney, what's the one team that you would want to see? I mean, what's the one player you'd want to see more than anything? LeBron's going to be there. You got Zion. You got Greek Freak, James Harden, a bunch of guys. Who would be the one guy more than anyone you'd want to see?
Even though he's not my favorite player, I'd still want to see LeBron just because of the impact and the history. It's one of those that you can go back and say, like if you ever watched MJ, he may not have been your favorite player then, depending on who you're rooting for, but you'd be like, man, I saw MJ play. I think LeBron would be the guy that I'd want to see, but I also want to see the Greek Freak.
I would love to see the Charlotte Hornets get in. They're not, but you get Michael Jordan. Right? I mean, listen, after all the Last Dance, he's like, thank God. He's probably happy they're not in just because of all the exposure. After people walking up like, MJ, man, we didn't know that about you. He's like, can I just go back? Can I get out of here? He probably would watch the games from home. That'd be too much. Yeah. That'd be too much right there. Okay, talking some NFL football. Team that's going to have the most severe drop. It's okay. Don't mind hurting my feelings. If you want to go ahead and let me have it.
I don't think it's the Patriots.
Okay.
I really don't. I mean, offensively, they had probably the best backfield in the NFL.
The Ravens 14-2. Can they do that? We have seen Andrew Luck and RG3s and other teams have such an incredible year and then not be able to live up to that after a downfall. Lamar Jackson, Coach K has said it before. He's not saying he's not a great athlete, but defensive coordinators will start to figure out their tight end scheme and the way. Do you see that happening as well? He is the MVP of the league, but 14-2, I can't see Baltimore doing that again with the Bengals and teams around them getting better.
I just think, I think Lamar is fantastic. I think, he can shut a lot of people up this year by going out and repeating the performances that he had last year. But I don't know. I don't see that just because of the style that they play. It comes down to much like Tennessee. You're one-sided, and the way they played, God, I don't know. I mean, you know what? They added some great pieces, though. So here's my thing. If Lamar has to win the games on his own, a lot like he did last year, taking it upon himself, I think they'll have a drop-off. If they put a support system around him where he doesn't have to necessarily win the football games, then I think that they'll have great success. So a team that's hit or miss, I guess Baltimore would be my team on that.
It's really hard. I'm looking at this list. Somebody has to lose. In the NFL, somebody has to lose, and like every fan base now thinks they're something, except my Pats.
Outside the Jets.
I was going on the Pats.
And the Jets.
Yeah, but I mean, Miami was 5-11. If you look at the bottom feeders, Miami was 5-11. They feel like they're better with Tua, even though their over/under set at 5.5. Cincinnati is 2-14. They're obviously going to be better. Browns at 6-10. They expect even the Steelers at 8-8 know that they have a quarterback now moving up. But then the Jags are the Jags are the bottom feeder. Get them out of here. Yeah. I would take that bet. Would you take the Jags if you got the rest of the field and one of us Would you give me the Jags and you get the rest of the NFL for the worst record next year?
Yeah, I would be skeptical, but yes, just because you never know what's going to happen. But I don't know.
I mean, the rest of these teams are legit from a standpoint. Like the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers, we know the Chiefs are good. To me, they're the team to beat still. I'd take them to win it. But Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers are all legit. Redskins or Giants. Any of those teams make a splash this year?
I think the Giants step up and have a better year. Not a great year, but they have a lot better year.
Yeah, give me the Redskins, too. I would add the Redskins to that list because I'd still take the Jags over the Redskins right now. You want to take that straight up for lunch? We don't even know.
Sure.
Why not? Why not?
At this point,
pay it off. Why not in February at one point? Hot meal in February, folks.
There you
out
go.
there. Jags or Redskins. That's all the time we have for today's show. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see what happens with the Saints. We'll see if everybody unifies. I'm going to that game against the Bucks, kicking off the season. We've got Bucks coverage right here in ESPN. That's
Saints coverage. It's going
to be pretty exciting. JP, enjoyed it?
Yeah, as always.
as always. Go Cal Poly. It's part of our endorsement. You got to say it, man.
Go Cal Poly.
All right, there we go. God bless.
Words melt everyone, but you stay so